Max Verstappen, conqueror.
But he's far from a freak of nature. Verstappen, who debuted in Formula One as the sport's youngest ever contender at the age of 17, pushed his car, his opponents, and the sport's record books to their limits. With his natural racing style, the baby-faced Dutchman with the heart of a lion took the Toro Rosso and subsequently the Red Bull by the horns. Verstappen's no-holds-barred attitude and tough defending have gotten him in trouble with his peers and bosses on occasion. However, the blunders that first harmed his potential have given way to maturity, while the boldness and intensity that made him a blockbuster talent have stayed, and the wins have continued to pour in over all these years. Racing is in his blood, and the son of the former Formula One driver Jos Verstappen and superfast karting mother Sophie Kumpen. Despite moving out of his father's house to live in Monaco, Verstappen maintains tight ties with his family, and despite his outspokenness, he can be surprisingly bashful. Expectations for the next generation's guiding light are sky high after Verstappen became the Netherlands' first world champion at the age of 24. Yet, there's a feeling that the sky's the limit for Verstappen. A basic perspective of Verstappen is that he's made of the right stuff for racing. As the son of ex-F1 driver Jos and great karter Sophie Kumpen, and that with a forceful father, even by the standards of racing fathers, Max was only ever going to go in one path. He has been able to tap into potential given by exceptional racing genetics thanks to meticulous if not obsessive preparation. Verstappen, who's still only 23, is one of F1's present bright lights, as well as a driver who has the potential to sustain his position well into the 2030s. He was a prodigy when he debuted in 2015. At the time, Red Bull's motorsport advisor Helmut Marko commented, "He has tremendous speed." Verstappen debuted in Formula One after only a year of automobile racing, progressing from karts to European Formula 3. His ascension to the top appears to be quick, but it wasn't. He began his journey when he was 4 years old. Verstappen's brilliant karting resume, highly impressive rookie Formula One season, and total of 10 Grand Prix victories also imply that his talent is such that this has come quite easily to him. It hasn't happened yet. Verstappen's education was unusual and challenging at times. That said, it began with a familiar tale of a child who was attracted by automobiles but was limited by his parents. Verstappen began riding quad bikes at the age of 2. When he was 4 years old, he watched a younger friend go karting and begged his father if he could have one of his own. Jos hesitated, but persistent pleadings and a few tears eventually won his mother over, and the Verstappen succumbed, putting Max in a kart for the first time at the age of 4.5. In a 2020 Red Bull interview, Jos recalls it wasn't Genk, it was on the rental track. It was with a very modest go-kart. It's still with us. It's on display in the store where we sell our wares. However, I recall him doing the entire track flat out after a few laps, and the carburetor was constantly slipping off due to the kart's vibration. We did it for a day and then went out and purchased for him a bigger go-kart. This is where Verstappen's story as a precocious talent begins. At the age of 7, he won his first race. He was a champion in Belgium and the Netherlands when he was 9 years old, and he would go on to win numerous domestic titles over the next few years. In his debut year in Europe, he won a hat-trick of WSK titles and finished second in the CIK FIA World Cup against future Red Bull teammate Alex Albon. He was world and European champion in the discipline's two most competitive and professional classes by the time he was 16, his final year in karting and into the adult categories. In 2010, Verstappen's CRG team president Giancarlo Tonini told T-Kart magazine, "Max has an exceptional knowledge of the vehicle. Only a few racers have the ability to make the difference in the first 2 laps of a race, and he's definitely one of them." Between that first karting appearance and Max's final world championship victory, Jos Verstappen poured his heart and soul into his son's career. While Max was at school, he prepped his chassis and engines in his workshop during the day, and they would test 2 or 3 times a week. In a van, he'd travel over 100,000 kilometers every year across the Netherlands, Belgium, and beyond. We knew which engine was the best and which carburetors were richer, so everything was taken care of, Jos adds. Max got this education better than the one Jos had at his previous school. Keeping up with education, especially when you start driving overseas, Max explains, becomes extremely challenging. It became fairly difficult for me when I was around 11 or 12 years old. I'm not the type of person who enjoys working on engines. That is something that my father enjoys doing. I've always liked driving, but I believe it's critical that you comprehend what's going on. I'm always interested in what my father was doing and trying to figure out what he was doing, but I've never felt like I could do it on my own. This extended beyond Joss insisting his son had an understanding of the mechanical side. Driving was the priority. Having never quite hit the heights he'd hoped for in F1, Joss, pictured below racing for Arrows in 2001, was determined to make sure Max became a superior driver to him. Some familiar sounding incidents emerged from this period in the Verstappen's lives. Joss sending Max out without instructing him to change certain things on the car to improve his feedback, or continuing to test even after it rained and everyone packed up and went home. Even in races, I informed him because he was winning so easily. For example, that he couldn't overtake in a given corner or a certain area of the circuit, he said. As a result, he had to seek out various locations to do so. It was only to make things more difficult for him, to see if he could find other means to pass or not. Verstappen Sr.'s career has taken off almost as quickly as his son's. In 1994, he gained a spot with Michael Schumacher's championship-winning Benetton team after impressing in early testing sessions. However, his stint in Formula One could have ended in disaster when a pit lane fire resulted in one of the sport's most memorable pictures, with Joss surviving with minor burns. After 2 third places finishes in Hungary and Belgium, he appeared to be on his way to stardom. They would, however, be Joss' only career podiums, as he spent the rest of his 107 race career looking for new teams and narrowly missing out on the podium once more. Joss, on the other hand, has shown a darker side. In 2000, he was handed a 5-year suspended prison term for shattering a man's skull 2 years earlier at a karting circuit. Verstappen won Le Mans in 2008 after retiring from Formula One, then went on to manage his son and has been spotted racing alongside the title leader ever since. In fact, a famous clip of Joss during the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix may become season-defining, with the senior Verstappen in pieces when his son smacked the wall during a fantastic qualifying lap, surrendering a pole position time that was against the odds. Joss said that he did F1 compared to Max, who was nowhere, but he talked to some of the drivers and they're all very friendly, or just say hello or whatever. They're on the plane together many times, always the same group of drivers, and they still have a lot of fun. But there are some drivers who don't look at you, who look at the ground. Hamilton was also famously managed by his father and a regular TalkSport contributor Anthony until they split in 2010. The Verstappens have so far outlasted that stint, but as history shows, too much passion in the garage can turn out to be a bad thing. And that's all we have for today. We hope that you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more such exciting content. See you in the next video.